Okay, so this sheet is called volume of prisms. On your formula chart, again, you're going to look at the formula for volume of a prism. It's the same as the formula for volume of a cylinder. So it's volume equals area of the base times height. Volume equals area of the base times height. Now, prisms are named after their bases. So this is a rectangular prism. That means the base is a rectangle. How do I find area of a rectangle? Base times height. What is another way we can express that? Length times width. So the reason why I like to use length times width is because we already have base and height, and it gets confusing to do base times height times height. So it's easier to write length times width and then times the height of the prism divided by, I'm sorry, we don't divide here. It's just length times width times height. So volume equals length times width times height. Now, with a rectangular prism, we have the benefit of only having three numbers. So we just multiply those three numbers together. But to be specific, the length of this prism is how long? So volume equals 32. What's the width of this prism? 25. So it'll be 32 times 25. And then what's the height of this prism? Times 12. Good. So in your calculator, you're going to do 32 times 25 times 12. Okay, so the volume is 9,600. It's in feet, so feet cubed. Any questions about that? Okay, so that is a rectangular prism. Our next question is focused on a um actually let's try this one over here. Let's try this one. So a camping tent it has the shape of a triangular prism. What is the size of the tent in cubic feet? So basically, what's the volume of this tent? So we have a triangular prism. My base in this case is a triangle. That line that I just covered out with my black pen, but that line that's in the middle is your height of the triangle. The height of the triangle is never going to be out here on the slant. It's always perpendicular to the base. It's always on a right angle. So this line in the middle is my height of my triangle. This 5 is the base of my triangle. So the formula is the same. Volume equals area of the base times height. But in this case, my base is a what? Triangle. So instead of this capital B, I can write what? How'd I get area of a triangle? Base times height divided by 2. Good. So it'd be base times height divided by 2. And then we multiply by the height of the prism. So what's the base of my triangle? What's the height of... No, you had it right. The base of my triangle is 5. The height of my triangle is 8. So volume is going to equal 5 times 8 divided by 2. And then the height of my entire prism is 12.5. Now you may be thinking to yourself, height is like up. Why is this 12.5 on the side? Well, if you was to turn this onto its base, what would happen to this 12.5? It would be the height. It would go straight up. So this 12.5 is your height. So in your calculator, do 5 times 8, which is 40. 40 divided by 2 is 20. So volume is going to equal 20 times 12 and a half. What is 20 times 12 and a half? 250. So 250, this is in feet cubed is my volume. All right, so let's now look at this one on level 2. So the tent shows a volume of 240 feet squared. How long is the tent? Remember the base of the triangle. Okay, so we know that the formula for this is volume equals area of the base times height. We know that, right? And then we know that the volume is 240. They gave us the volume. So we're going to put 240 right here. 240 equals. Now, that capital B is supposed to be base times height divided by 2 because it's a triangle. Do I know the base of my triangle? Yes. Do I know the height of my triangle? I do. 8. So it's going to be 6 times 8 divided by 2. However, do I know the height of this prism? No, that's what the question is. It's asking how long is the tent. Really, is asking what's the height of the prism. What is this over here? We don't know. That's an x, or I can just use this variable h. So we know that 240 equals 6 times 8 divided by 2 times h. So the first thing we need to do is 6 times 8 is what? Divided by 2 is 24. So we have 240 equals 24 times h. What do I do here? I divide by 24. The reason why is because I want this h by itself. The only way that can happen is if we remove the 24. How do I remove something? I do the inverse. So 24 times h is, 24h means 24 times h. So the inverse of that is to divide by 24. And we do the same thing over here. We divide by 24. 240 divided by 24 is, so h is equal to 10. Does that make sense? Okay, now let's try the last one. It says Timothy poured vegetable broth into the container shown. If the container is now 2/3 full, how many cubic inches are in the container? So again, he poured it into the container. The container is 2/3 full. So how many cubic inches are in the container? All right, so let's get we have to solve this. Volume equals area of the base times height. It's a prism, so we know that. For this capital B, I'm going to do volume equals base times height divided by 2. Why am I doing that? Because our base is a triangle, and then we bring down the h for the height of the prism. So as I told you guys, that long side is actually your height, because if you sit it on this base, this goes straight up. So what is the base of my triangle? 12. What's the height of my triangle? 6. So 12, 6. That's just for the triangle. So volume equals 12 times 6 divided by 2. What's the height of my prism? 10. So that 10 goes out of here. What's 12 times 6? 72 divided by 2 is 36. So volume equals 36 times 10. What is 36 times 10? So volume equals 360 inches cubed. But am I done? No. How full is it? 2/3. So what I have to do is I actually have to do 2/3 times 360 over 1. So what is that? I multiply straight across. 2 times 360 is 720. And then 3 times 1 is 3. 720 divided by 3 is 240, right? So 240 inches cubed. Does that make sense? Any questions or anything you think should be included in the video? No? Alrighty.